Hello everyone, Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, we'll be taking a preview for Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver #1. This is a new series from Marvel Comics, and as a beginning of the celebration of 60 years for both of these characters. Let's take a look at the creative team before we get into this book. This book is written by Steve Orlando, who was the same writer from the Scarlet Witch series that recently ended. We also have Lorenzo Tomato on art, Frank William on colors, letters by Ariana Maher, and a very cool cover by Russell Dodderman. Of course, we also have some amazing covers by other artists. We'll see some at the end of the video. Stay tuned for that. So, um, I think it's not imperative that you read the previous Scarlet Witch series, but I would highly recommend it. Steve Orlando is a very good writer that kind of brings you up to speed, no pun intended, with Quicksilver. But I think it would behoove you to like go check that out. It's only 10 issues. There's like an annual event as well that is not fully tied into the story, but into the story, but it does have to do with Scarlet Witch. So let me tell you a little bit about this specific issue. All rivalries and new mysteries. The Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver have been heroes, friends, family hits, and occasionally villains. But above all, they are twins who look out for each other. So when Wanda receives a letter from the recently deceased Magneto that would upset Pietro, she burns the letter before her brother can read it. But her choice drives them apart at the worst time possible. A threat heralded by the wizard with a horrifying Eldritch upgrade is coming for their heads. If they can't find a way to repair their damaged bond, it will cost them their lives. So join fan favorite Scarlet Witch creative team as they celebrate 60 years of Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver in this new chapter of the twins' storied legacy. So yeah, this is going to be a celebration of these characters. So let's take a look here at some of the preview art, and we have characters returning like Darcy, which really cool to see Darcy, Darcy Lewis, a character that we've seen also in the MCU. Wanda in space is not something that we get to see all the time, so that's very interesting. And I really like the redesign and the look for Pietro as well. I hadn't seen him in a while, so it's really fun to kind of have him back. So yeah, this book is going to be looks like it's going to be full of humor, full of adventures, and of course, full of superhero shenanigans. And also, what the hell's in that letter, right? I want to know. So, especially now that we have the resurrection of Magneto happening somewhere. So, it'll be interesting to see both the relationship of Pietro and Wanda evolve, as well as what's going on with the rest, like with the mystery and the threats that are coming for them. So, uh, we'll talk more about this when we get a chance to read the issue and maybe do a follow video, maybe talk about it on our live. Hello, everyone. Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a preview for NightThrasher #1. This is a new book from Marvel Comics. Let's take a look at the creative team before we get into what the hell the NightThrasher is doing back on the pages of Marvel. So this is written by Jason Holtman, with art by Nelson Daniel, Matt Miller on colors, letters by Travis Lanham. So who is the NightThrasher? That's definitely a good question. After his parents were murdered, Dwayne Taylor dedicated himself to fighting crime. Dwayne used his inherited wealth to run the Taylor Foundation while also secretly training to become an expert combatant and armored vigilante. Dwayne also founded the team of teen heroes known as the New Warriors. Now further hardened by new tragedies and tribulations, Dwayne struggles to leave his past behind and forward a new future as NightThrasher. Um, it's a very interesting character from the 90s. I know there's been a lot of things online saying like, who was asking for a NightThrasher book? And you know what? Sometimes it's the books that we don't ask for that really rise to the top. So we'll see. I'm not familiar with the character much. I'm not familiar with the creative team, but NightThrasher looks kind of cool. I mean, it's a character from the 90s, so the character design is definitely going to be bonkers. Let's read about this specific issue, though. It is time to thrash the night The death of one of the loved ones draws Dwayne Taylor back to New York City, though his days as NightThrasher are long over. Dwayne finds the past difficult to outrun when Silhouette, his ex teammate from the New Warriors, seeks out help against a new criminal called the OG. And the mystery of the OG's true identity and what's to come will change the Night Thrasher's legacy forever. Don't miss the bold new direction for a cult classic character who's leaving the 90s behind. You know, that's probably a good thing to move on. So that'll be really interesting. I'm kind of excited to read this issue. I'm not gonna lie. I think Marvel knows that they can take some of these older characters, older people are less familiar with them, so maybe there's not as much attachment to when things are being changed or updated. And they also can give different creative teams just an approach to, experiment, throw things out there. So let's go take a look at some of the preview art because, as I mentioned, I'm not familiar with Nelson Daniels' art, but to me, it just feels very lived in, very serious. Like just overall, the dramatic feel of it really hits in this first few pages. And we don't get a lot of thrashing around in the first few pages of the preview, so I'm kind of excited to get into it and see. I want to see more dynamic pages. I want to see more action related pages. Also, I want to check out the design for this OG if that's somebody we're going to meet in the first issue. So there's a few things. There's a few doors that I think need to be open. I'm looking at some of the variants that you'll see at the end of the video. One of them, he's got a skateboard, like Night Thrasher uses a skateboard. That's pretty fucking rad. So yeah, if you grew up in the 90s reading comics, I think you might really enjoy this. So hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast, and we are back talking Sabretooth War. This is gonna be part 3 on Wolverine issue number 43. So let's talk about the creative team before we get into the review. This is co-written by Victor Lavalle and Benjamin Percy with Jeff Shaw on art, Alex Sinclair on colors, letters by Corey Petit. I think it's really fun that we've been switching back and forth between artists. I think both of them are very capable, and they really know how to capture what makes a Sabretooth story, especially the violence that they've been kind of bringing in every issue. So let's do a quick recap of who is going on and what the characters involved. So of course we have Logan, Wolverine, right? Everything's happening because of him. We have Laura Kinney, who's been kidnapped. We have Sage from the X Force. Quentin Quire, unfortunately, was taken. He's out of action. We also have Aurora and Northstar still around. Peter Rasputin Colossus still around. Akihiro, aka Dakin or Fang, as he's known now, also is out of action. We also have Black Tom Cassidy and, of course, Domino. Now, on the Sabretooth side, they have lost Pretty Boy Sabretooth from Air 12, and everyone else seemed to kind of be either incapacitated or really against what the Sabretooth from this Earth is doing. So we still have, of course, the normal Victor Cree Sabretooth. We have Camo Sabretooth from Earth 33441 and Savage Sabretooth from Earth 1912. So let's talk about this book. All right, let's get into this. This series continues to be amazingly violent. I think it's really cool. There's some really interesting beats here in this specific issue where we address the past between Victor and Logan while they were working in their, their covert group with Maverick and all that going on those missions. So, I mean, these guys have a lot of history together, right? So we get to see a little bit of that and how that contrasts with like everything that Victor has planned to pretty much systematically destroy Logan's life. He really wants to make this like probably his worst birthday ever. Of course, the mutants are also like kind of on their back heel right now because of everything that's going on with Orchid, so they don't have a lot of support. But what really stands out to me is just how crazy some of the things that happen in this book are. Like I don't have anything, and I don't have any previews of art of the crazy thing that happens in this issue. But when you see it, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Uh, but yeah, this is really fun. Let's look at some of the preview art here. And as I mentioned, we get to see a little bit of the past times. Wolverine, Logan. I mean, yeah, Logan and Victor, just doing what they do best, killing people. In the meanwhile, in the present, not everyone's happy aboard that ship with Sabretooth. Like they are challenging his leadership, and Laura takes advantage of that. Laura takes a little bit of advantage of that. She's learning. She's so smart. But ultimately, we get to see some of the Victor's past will also kind of come down to hunt him as the exiles come back in this issue. So I think it is so smart to have both Victor Lavalle and Benjamin Percy come together for the story because, of course, they've both been handling these characters for a long time now, right? With Lavalle, with Sabretooth, and of course Benjamin Percy pretty much leading the Wolverine book. So having these two forces collide, they just really kind. I feel like they kind of almost like amp each other up and just kind of take things to the next level together. It's really interesting stuff. So, highly recommend this if you haven't been started. Like, if you didn't start reading from part one, go back and start now. This all kicked off at issue 41, so there's still plenty of time for you to catch up. We are going to do this is a bi-weekly book until we get to issue 50, the grand finale, 10 parts. So, really, really cool stuff. So, if you have seen this, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. Or if you read this book. As always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, check out the variants at the end of the video. And of course, please come back. Make sure to hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. And we have a lot more stuff on the channel, including TV recaps, movie reviews, more comic reviews, all that fun stuff here in the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye-bye.